What do you need? Is it meditation? Is it a morning run? Is it, just some time alone? Is it a walk? Right? Or is it just going through your buyer list? Whatever the case may be, have non-negotiables. And some of the non-negotiables you can even put in is calling for leads, calling for listings, calling for sell by owners,
100%.
right? Calling reverse prospecting and calling other agents. If you are putting this in your calendar and you're holding yourself accountable, this is the perfect ingredient amongst many others that will help you in those moments of not hitting the goals. All right, guys, we are back here for another amazing episode of Relentless Agent Podcast. I'm Javier Nichols.
Mike Puma. What's up, everybody?
Yes. So, Mike, we're going to dive into something that I believe every agent should focus on right out of the gate. And if not, they should refocus on it today. So if you're not a brand new agent, this episode is still for you. All right, because we are going to talk about time management.
It's a tricky thing, my friend, and I've heard a lot of different strategies towards it. It's funny. One of our managers here, we got into a little bit of a debate, a friendly debate, but a debate about this because he used to say the phrase, "You need to treat this like a job," right? And my take on that is I understand his thought process behind it, right? Is, in a job, you're expected to be there certain times and you're kind of, the schedule's forced upon you. I think, though, that we have to treat it for what it is, which is a business. You've started a business and you are a business owner. And I think that from a scheduling perspective, that's the biggest thing that most new agents kind of lose sight of, because this business, the way the models are built, is very interesting compared to starting any other business, right? But you, as a new agent, you have a startup business, right? And it's a small business, but it is a business. And a lot of people get into it and they don't treat it like one. And if you and I were to go open a cookie shop, and the very first thing we would have to do is figure out, what hours are we going to be open to sell cookies, right? And if you don't show up and I don't show up and we own the cookie shop, there aren't any cookies getting sold, right? So we have to figure that out. And we have the choice, by being the owners of that cookie shop, to show up or not show up, right? So now it comes back to, well, do we want to sell cookies? Yeah. Okay, great. Then that means you have to show up and you have to make the cookies, and someone's got to sell the cookies, and you got to market the cookie, like the whole process, right? And it's literally that simple. And the exact same thing applies to this business. It's just in a different industry, right? We're in the real estate industry. So someone's still got to show up. You still got to open the door. You still got to market yourself. You still have to go sell, right? So at the end of the day, I think, in my opinion, that's the biggest step one of starting to create that schedule, is understand that you are a business owner. And for most of you, you're the sole proprietor of that business, which means in the beginning, you're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the salesperson, you're everything, right? And it's going to be hard and it's going to suck and there's going to be a lot of aggravating moments. But the fact of the matter is, you chose this. This isn't a job, right? And if you want a job, if you want someone to tell you what time to be there and what time to go home, go get a job. But that's not what you signed up for.
I totally agree. And you touched on it, that I believe everyone needs to hear again, and that you are a business owner. Okay, you are a business owner. And the one thing that I find that most agents can't grasp their mind around in the beginning is that you are a business owner. Okay. And I'm only going from personal experience and firsthand experience of speaking to people and hearing what their problems are from just training them, right? And understanding that they are coming from, majority of them are coming from a 9 to 5 W-2 world. Okay. There are some lucky ones out there who were straight out of high school or straight out of college or whatever, coming right into real estate, and they never had a job. They just jumped into real estate. But for those, I'm speaking about those who come from that W-2 world, which is, I say, the majority. Okay. Coming from the W-2 world where you're like, hey, I want to get rid of my 9 to 5 and I want to be my own boss. We've seen a lot of that happen, especially when COVID really hit the scene. People were saying, hey, I'm at home. I'm going to just start my own career. I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to jump into real estate. And we've seen a lot of people enter to become real estate agents during that 2-year period. And understanding that you are a business owner, you need to grasp that in a sense of exactly what we're talking about is time management. Now, one of the things that I recommend, and Mike, you definitely touched on something like you touched on a heavy load there of just understanding that you have many hats. Okay, we're going to get to that part, but in the beginning, my recommendation for time management, simple for time management, is writing down the goals that you wanted to accomplish the night before, right? And here's the tip. Don't write them down in your phone. Write them down on your calendar or on your, if you have a regular, calendar like this, or, a handheld, something that's paper. Okay. Because we oftentimes find ourselves leaning on technology way too much. And if we put something in our phones are, just think about this. For those of you who are watching this and are listening to this, how many times have you looked at your phone since listening to this podcast? I'm going to say at least twice or 3 times.
Probably.
Right? Because of the notifications that are hitting your phone and from your checking your text messages and the whole 9. So using your phone to set your day or to write down your goals, that's a trap because your phone is already a distracted. So if you write it down on a piece of paper or a notepad or a notebook, you have an opportunity of using that like your GPS. And I'm going to tell a quick story real quick, just a real quick story. Yesterday, I drove to Maryland to meet one of my mentees that I'm a mentor with the NAR Aspire program. And I met one of my mentees in Maryland and I drove. However, when I'm on 95, the navigation says 48 miles into the next exit, right? Every time I was getting a phone call, I would go back to navigation so I could see it, right? Even though I know it's 48 miles into my next exit, I still need to see the map. Just in case something changes, just in case something pops up, I need to still know where I'm going and stay focused.
Yep.
This is the exact thing that I'm speaking about as far as having something written down, is that when you go through your day, you're going to have distractions pop up, but you need to continuously look at the navigation that you wrote down the night before so it can keep you on track. There are going to be a lot of things that take you off track, and many of you are just starting out in real estate and you are still learning. So learning requires a lot of your time. Oftentimes you forget that while learning, you need to be prospecting, you need to be marketing, you need to be, doing all those other hats that Mike was speaking about. So write down your goals the night before, and during your day, go back to those, cross them out as you accomplish them. This is going to work twofold. One, is going to allow you to stay on track because you're going to have something to revert back to, but it's also going to build your motivation and your self-worth, because the worst thing that you want to do is have a day. And we all have had these days before. The worst thing that you want to do is have a day where once your day is over, you think about it and you haven't done shit. You just haven't accomplished nothing. You've just been running around all day, putting out fires, trying to do this, trying to do that. And you sit down and like, what did I do today? And you don't feel motivated to do more the next day. Why? Because you just didn't do anything today and you felt like crap and you're just getting discouraged. So when you cross out those goals and you look at that cross list at the end of the day, you feel accomplished.
My calendar used to be my kryptonite.
Wow.
Right? Because until recently, right? This is a fairly recent switch for me that really changed a lot. But, I'm one of those people that I felt like I always had everything right here, right? So I'm not a big note taker. I'm not a PowerPoint guy, right? We were just talking before the podcast. I don't map a lot of things out, right, on paper and then try and follow it, like whether I'm giving a speech or a class. Like, it's just not me. In fact, it stresses me out. Like, my wife's the complete opposite. Type A, has to have a PowerPoint, has to know like an outline. Like, outlines stress me out because I feel like it put me in this box, right? That's just how my head works. But because of that, I had a major downfall and a major weakness, and that was I would constantly double book myself because in here, everything was working. But then someone would send me a calendar invite, but I wasn't leveraging my calendar for everything. So not everything was on the calendar, right? And it became this nightmare. And as I got busier and busier, and now I look back and I'm like, if I still had that habit today, it would be a nightmare, right? I mean, I'm a partner in a brokerage. I'm also building the real estate business. I have 2 other companies outside of real estate. I'm about to launch a 3rd. Like, I have so much going on that it would be impossible. So the biggest thing that I made was I kind of took 2 major steps that worked for me. This may not work for everyone, but it worked for me. What I did is I said, okay, I'm going to leverage my calendar for everything, right? And Calendly is a free tool that you can use. That helped a lot because now all my meetings, if you want to meet with me, you want to set time aside, I'm happy to do it. But you're gonna go through Calendly because that links to my calendar, and that way I know it gets on there, and you're only picking a time that's available, right? So we can dive into Calendly in a little bit because that really helped me stay structured on my day, and it can be used in a lot of ways. But I started using Calendly, but the biggest thing I did was I said, okay, what are my non-negotiables? What are the times, the things that I have in my day, my week, my month that are not negotiable? They're happening and they have to happen at this day or this time. Those go on first, right? So for me, what happens is I have 2 young kids. I coach both their teams in baseball, right? So I know that on Tuesday and Thursday and now Friday for flag football, my day has got to be done like nothing else by 4:30, 5 o'clock. I've got to be done so I can move on to that part. So what do? Well, in my calendar, I block that off now. Like all in those days, those are my non-negotiables. Those do not change. I don't care if $1 million deal comes up. For me personally, I've made the decision that nothing is worth me sacrificing that time. So those are blocked off. You cannot schedule me. If I try to schedule something, it's going to be there. It's not going to allow me to do it, right? And so for me, and I'll be honest, I do that in the mornings, right? I do that for lunch. I have literally everything goes in my calendar now. I have every single day. I have a recurring reminder at the same time every day to text my kid at school to let him know I'm thinking about him, right? My oldest, because he has a phone now. I did the same thing. My wife works from home now, but she used to not. So I used to do the same thing with her, right? That sounds, that's not very romantic. You're getting reminded. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I need it. I need it in my phone, right? Every day because I get busy and then I don't think about it, right? So if it's important to me to get done, it's going in my calendar. Wow. So I start there. I start with these non-negotiables and I put in everything. If I have my workout for the day, whatever time that's got to be for me to accomplish the other things, it goes in there. It doesn't matter what it is. It's in my calendar. And then I decide, okay, is this something that I need to do one day or is this something I need to do every day? Is this something I need to do every week? Is this something I need to do every month? And those things get set as recurring meetings, right? So every single day at 10 o'clock, every day, we post content. Well, that's in my phone. Reminder, hey, you gotta go post content, right? And now, is that a habit? Am I going to do it without the reminder? Yeah, most days. But there are some days where my morning's gotten away from me and all of a sudden I get that reminder. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to post content. All right, got to go into post content. Like, so that's where I start. And it's worked great for me because I went really from polar opposites. I went from the guy who barely put anything in his calendar to the guy who leverages his calendar for everything.
That just a simple, and I want to pose the question to those who are listening and watching this. Ask yourself, what are your non-negotiables? Because I want to stay on this moment, because what you just said is it's like I've dealt with that myself, and I'm curious to know, at what moment did you feel that you needed to utilize, and by the way, for those of you who are listening and watching this, Calendly, okay, CALE, it's like the word calendar, but it has an LY at the
LY
end.
at the end. Yep.
Yeah, take away. It's calendar with an LY. It's free. So make sure you're going on that site today and setting up your account. But I want to know from you, Mike, what was it? Was it like a particular moment of overlapping and it was like something has to give? Or was it a light bulb that went off in your head when somebody was talking about, how they're so structured? Or what could have, like, what do you remember what it was?
Yeah, for me it was a couple things. I was tired of getting double booked. I was tired of, there would be days where, I do a lot of our recruiting and I would have, 9, 10, 11 interviews in one day. And what I just started realizing was there were certain things that I was doing that I was in control of that were making me to the point of not being the most effective person that I could be, because I was overdoing it, or I was allowing too much to happen in a day. And so I needed more control, right? I had to get better control over my schedule. And then the other thing that clicked with me was when I got myself into my routine and I knew then going into every day that I was going to be able to, at the very least, accomplish those non-negotiables, right? I was going to get my workout in. I was going to be able to spend time with my kids. I was going to be there at practice, no question about it. Those things made me feel better.
Yeah.
And knowing that, right, allows me now to attack everything else throughout the day, knowing that I'm getting the other things that I have to have. And guys, these things, especially the non-work related things, you don't even understand how much they fuel you until you don't have them, or you skip a day, or you do. Then you're like, man, I didn't feel as good today, right? Like if I miss my morning run, dude, I don't feel good, right? So what do? I make sure that I wake up early enough. Now I have to help get the kids to school and do things. So I have morning requirements. We have an 8:30 morning call here. So what does that mean? Well, I work backwards. All right, my run in the morning is a non-negotiable for me. So what does that mean? Well, that means it's on the calendar every day, but I have to work backwards, right? I have other requirements. So I have to be back in the house by 7:15, ready to do that. Okay. So that means that what time do I have to start my run, right? So now I can work backwards, get it on my calendar, make sure I get it in. And then the click for me was I am a far more productive, happier, better husband, better dad, better business, better everything when those things got done. So for me, it was okay. If I want to be the best version of me, then those non-negotiables have got to get done, and they've got to be scheduled out, and they got to be on my calendar. And for me, it was a major unlock, because then everything else started falling into place. I could attack the hell out of everything else in my day. And I feel better. I go into every day with high energy. I'm ready to go. And the days that I miss, it's over, right? It's different.
And you accomplish more overall. And this is something that is so powerful. Everyone who is listening, watching this, of course, you're in real estate or you're in some facet of real estate. You have to understand that your mental is so important. You can literally talk yourself out of doing something. We all know what that feeling is like. If you have to go to the gym, or you can easily talk yourself out of something. But if you are holding yourself accountable and understanding that, yes, I want to be the best version of myself, having time management is exactly what you need to be focused on, right? And the non-negotiables is another, like when we do our buyer information sheet, when we have a buyer, we have a criteria, but then we have must-haves, right? The must-haves is a category that is like, all right, these are my clients' non-negotiables, okay? And I need to make sure that if I can't find the criteria, I guarantee have to find these, okay? And this is the foundation of what this person needs. Now, for you, you're translating that into what do you need? Is it meditation? Is it a morning run? Is it, just some time alone? Is it a walk, right? Or is it just going through your buyer list? Or whatever the case may be, have non-negotiables. And some of the non-negotiables you can even put in is calling for leads, calling for listings, calling for sale by owners,
100%.
right? Calling reverse prospecting and calling other agents. If you are putting this in your calendar and you're holding yourself accountable, this is the perfect ingredient amongst many others that will help you in those moments of not hitting the goals. Because there are times where your energy level is not going to be there. However, if your calendar is saying, okay, we gotta do this, and you do that, and then you find out by the end of the day, you're feeling even better, or you're feeling way better than you did in the beginning of the day, you know that this is the reason why. Because I did this non-negotiable. And not even going into the family, because not all people have kids. And for those of you who do have kids, you understand that non-negotiables with family time. Like, for example, for me, I'm in this leadership academy within my local association. And one of the things they had us talk about was an I will statement, right? And for me, is I will be present. There are times where I know my 4-year-old wants me to play dinosaurs, right? We want to play dinosaurs before bed. We want to play dinosaurs when he comes home. And I sometimes need to, again, we wear a lot of different hats. So if I'm not doing something with the client, I'm editing videos. If I'm not editing videos, I'm creating a template for video so I can have it together. And oftentimes I'm doing that after my day. And that runs close to dinner and close to bedtime. So sometimes I cannot do the dinosaurs. But since I'm jumping in, I'm like, man, this is one of my non-negotiables now. Like, hey, I'm going to be present. I'm going to make sure that I'm here and taking this moment, because I have a 16-year-old and he's not so excited to be around dad all the time, or mom for that reason, because he's 16, he's like, he got it all figured out, but he's not asking to play dinosaurs. It's like, man, you know what? I got to be present. I need to make sure. And I love the fact that you make it a point to send your son, a text message throughout the day. And you know what? I'm definitely going to take a page out of that book, even though he shouldn't have his phone on during the day at school. But some just like, we have to understand that we are doing this and we are building this so we can spend more time with our loved ones. That's why we are in real estate. This is not just an addiction to help other people and to go and do all of now. We love helping people and we love going and doing all of our leads and stuff. But at the end of the day, we want to spend more. If I could spend all day with my loved ones and not have to worry about running, I wouldn't be doing this, right? Because financially I'll be set. Now, my heart is still there to help others. Yeah. But ultimately, having your family and spending time with family is what I love to do. Okay. And that's something that I work very hard to do. And I believe that everybody has that.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think everyone watching this got into real estate in large part because of the freedom it provides.
Yeah.
And the reality is it can provide a lot of freedom. You can build any schedule you want. You're a business owner, right? If I own Target and I said, you know what? Target's going to be open from 6 a.m. till noon, and then we're going to close until like 3, and then I'm going to open back up until 10. I could do that because I own Target, right? Whatever business you own, you get to set the rules. Just understand that by setting those rules, that now means you're setting the tone for those hours where your non-negotiables are there, right? Those are now off the table. Now it's okay. Now in this hours that I have to maximize. And that's why I think it's important to put all the excess stuff, all the routine stuff, all the daily stuff, all the personal stuff, that's got to be on your calendar too. Because now every single morning before my run, when I look at that day as a reminder of what do I have today, I know, okay, well, I've got this non-negotiable here, this non-negotiable here. That means that this window that I have here is balls to the wall, 100%, go, get it done, maximize that amount of time. Because at the end of the day, we still got to make money. We still have to be productive. We still have to run our business, right? But it's important, guys, whether it's the personal stuff, whether if you find yourself getting distracted, right, scrolling through TikTok, there's a ton of funny content on TikTok. I could see how you get distracted there, right? That's fine. Don't pretend like you're not going to do it. You're going to do it. All right? Don't lie to yourself about it. You're going to do it. You're going to slack off. You're going to get distracted. You're going to start watching a YouTube video. You're going to scroll through TikTok. You're going to do it. I'm telling you, Don't pretend like you're not. Just schedule it. Say, you know what? I'm gonna start giving at 10 a.m. from 10 to 10:20 is my TikTok scroll time, or my Facebook time, or my YouTube time, or whatever it is. Schedule it. Because the more that you can schedule that other stuff, you're now going to be able to take a much clearer picture of what time you actually have to work on the business. And then that's when we can get really, really consistent on the business activities, which then fuel everything else, right? And so when it comes to the schedule, that's why I like Calendly so much, because I can control everything, right? So Calendly will allow you to set different meetings that you can link to. And then it also allows you to set the maximum number of them, the times that you want people to be able to book, how quickly they can book from when they're going in to schedule it, how soon out, right? So you can set a buffer. So for me, like if I don't want Javier to be able to go in and book an interview at 1 for 1:30 in that same day, so I don't get caught off guard, I can set it and say, nope, he can schedule it 4 hours from whenever he's in, and then it'll take him to the next available time. But what it does is it speaks to my calendar in real time. So my calendar is showing only what slots are available, and then it's maxing out. So now I took it from where I might have previously done 9 to 11 interviews in a day. Now I max it out at 5. I'm not doing more than 5 in a day. And you could look at that and say, well, that means you're going to hire less people. You're going to be less productive. No, I think I'm actually going to be more productive, because I can tell you that after those first 5, 6, 7, you're not getting the same Mike out of me that you probably were in those first 5, right? So now it allows me to just be better, right? So those are all personal things. So I think using Calendly, using your calendar, scheduling time, whether it's just whatever time, whether it's important, whether it's prospecting time, schedule it. I promise you'll be far better off.
And I even love the fact that you said schedule your Instagram and TikTok scroll time.
Do it.
And this is a challenge for everybody, right? For everyone listening, watching it on this. I want you, if you have an iPhone, of course, because I don't know how Androids work, okay? But if you have an iPhone, you can go to your screen time. Okay, go to your screen time, go to settings, look up screen time, and then go and look at what apps you use the most and find out what app do you open when you first wake up. Many of us will be surprised because our mood is literally contingent of what we do when we first wake up. You may wake up and open up an email, or you may wake up and go through Instagram. You may wake up and go through a prayer book, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter what it is, but that will decide how your tone starts the day. So I would be curious, and I did this. We did this last time we had a family function. We all did it just to find out, and it was surprising that many of us open social media within the first 2 minutes of waking up. Literally, you'll wake up, and then the first thing you go to your phone, you're looking at social media, and you're just scrolling, spending 20, 30 minutes just scrolling at nothing. And just literally nothing. Like you didn't learn anything. You just got distracted. And most people understand that distractions is like numbing medicine. It's not fixing a problem. It's just not letting you feel it. Okay. You're not able to feel the day. You're not able to feel that you're not hitting your goals. You can just numb your way through it. And that is not the way to do it. However, I do want to go back to that scheduling, scrolling time, because many of us have social media addictions. And for you to understand what that addiction is and to schedule it, watch what happens. And I want to throw this out there for those of you who want to really reprogram your brain. I had to do this myself a couple times. I even had to do it today, earlier this morning, actually. I go to Instagram a lot. As you guys know, many of you know, I run the Instagram of the New Agent Handbook, and we do a lot of content. I make a lot of videos for that group. And one of the things I like to always do is follow certain hashtags and show love to certain people using certain hashtags, just so I can build up the algorithmic flow. So what I do when I'm sick and tired of doing that, or I find myself doing it too often, because I catch myself and it is not a good feeling. Many of us know what I speak of. When you're done looking at social media and you know you're not supposed to be doing it, it feels yucky. You just feel like you just wasted time, and you did. So here's the remedy for it. I want you to go in your phone. I want you to open up where your apps are. Okay. I want you to put your social media apps into a group. Okay. Put them into a group. Many of you already have them into a group. Many of you, when I say group, they're in a smaller, they're in a box, right? Your apps are inside of a box inside your iPhone. Now, your mind, subconscious, I'm speaking of, is in control. So when you are bored or you have a moment, you open your phone, you click it, you go right to the app. You can do it with your eyes closed. Many of you can know exactly where the app is. Switch it. Switch the app. I switch it with Canva because I love creating content, right? So I move Instagram to the right and I move Canva over to the left. So when I'm opening up my phone, when I'm not busy and I have a free moment, I open up my phone, I go to Instagram and I'm on Canva. I'm like, oh, well, I do got to make content. I do have to make content. Let's go ahead and just start making content. And I started to learn, wait a minute, am I reprogramming myself? And actually, when I started talking about it to other people, they tried it and they're like, yo, I put Canva in the spot where TikTok is, or I put Canva in the spot where Facebook is. Or it don't have to be Canva. For those of you who don't make content, it could be, I don't know, what other cool apps do we have? It could be RPR. Many of you don't know the acronym RPR, Realtors Property Resource, and that is an app where you can get a lot of data from your community. So replace it with the positive, productive app and watch how many times you open that app and utilize those moments to when you are clicking on that app. Use it. So fill in that time. And I do agree wholeheartedly to schedule that scrolling time, because if you schedule it, it's gonna look look ridiculous. You're gonna have IG scroll time for 1 hour, and then when you're not busy and when you don't have any work and you don't have any deals, you're gonna say to yourself, "Well, where can I fit in prospecting?" Hello.
Yeah, it'll start to become very clear to you. But I also do think it can help hedge the bet a little bit, right? It can help kind of limit it down, because you know that, all right, I already at 11 I can kind of take a break here and do this, right? And so your brain will kind of say, all right, I'm going to get that reward later, so let me keep at what I'm doing. So it can help. And shifting gears just a little bit, I do think it's important to schedule with your clients too. For those of you that are productive agents, or you start to get busy, especially in the beginning, right? All you're doing is trying to source deals and get stuff done, and it can be hard to say no. That's why the non-negotiables being in there is super important. And you're going to find out if it's truly a non-negotiable or not, because the first time, it's 5:30 and you're supposed to be leaving for your kid's thing, and a client calls and is like, hey, want to talk about this property? What are you going to say?
Yeah.
Right? Here's what I will tell you. As someone has done quite a few transactions, we have 500 agents in our brokerage alone. So we deal with this a lot. What I will tell you is, if you treat yourself like a business with your clients, they will respect you more and they will treat you like a business back, right? If I make myself available 24/7, then I'm Walmart. If I say, hey, I'm sorry, I'd love to have this conversation with you, I really, really do, but I'm actually on my way to another appointment right now. I will be available at 9 a.m. or better yet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot you a quick text with my Calendly link. It has my availability in there. Feel free to please schedule a time with me tomorrow at the first available that works for your schedule. Right now, what am I doing? I'm setting a line in the sand.
Boundaries.
I'm setting boundaries. I'm still able to handle my non-negotiable. And how professional am I coming across to them? This is not how I run my business, right? I can't go to Target at 10:01 if they close at 10, right? I mean, I could try. I could be sitting there banging on the door. I don't know why I'm using Target as my example, but just there's one right across the street from my house.
Everybody loves Target, Mike. Everyone loves Target.
But I can't go there. They set the tone. Yeah. We're open between these hours and these hours. I don't get to decide that. I don't get to call them at 10:30 and demand that they let me in. That's not how this works, right? They run it like a business because they are. We need to do the same thing.
So let me ask you real quick, though. Do when somebody sets the tone, do they make themselves more valuable than a person who doesn't have any boundaries at all?
I think so, because it indicates to them that I'm a professional, right? And and it's super important. I have an investor client. They buy multiple properties. In fact, we just closed on another one today. They buy a lot of business from me, but they used to love to want to try and talk with me at 9 or 10 o'clock at night because they also have a multi-chain retail business and they're tied up during the day. And so in the beginning, I sat there and said, you know what? I'll get the kids to bed. That's fine. And then I'll talk to them at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And that was on me. I didn't set that boundary. And then it became worse and worse. And then I realized, wait a minute, the kids, I'm not sacrificing time with the kids, but I'm sacrificing time with my wife, right? And that's not cool either. And so, yeah, the commission check is nice, but that's not going to work for me. And so that's where the non-negotiables started coming in. And I said, not anymore. So they started calling. I said, hey, guys, listen, are you a morning person? What time's your business open? 10 a.m. Great. I'm up at 5 every day. We'll schedule time before 10 a.m. and we will have this conversation with you. I will talk with you every single day. If you want me to set a recurring meeting with you in the morning, I will absolutely do it. If you tell me that 4 a.m. is the time that you guys want to chat, I'm yours. I'm willing to do that. I'm not willing to miss any more time in the evening with my wife. Not going to happen. Right. And there's not enough paycheck. And guess what? Did they go running for another agent? No, they did not. They said, we're super sorry. That's on us. And I said, no, it's on me. I allowed you to do it, but we can't do it anymore. And that we move forward. We have a much better working relationship, and they've still bought a ton of properties, and we've got a lot more to go. So it's just setting that boundary and setting the professional. Also, by using Calendly, is that not a better user experience, right? Even with other agents, other things that you're doing. For me, I get sick and tired if someone's like, hey, what time can you meet on Wednesday? Or what time next week can you meet? Then we sit there and waste 30 minutes going back and forth via email to figure out a time. No. How about this? I'm going to send you what days I have available. Match the best available time I have to the best availability that you want. And now you're in control of that decision. Who's really in control? I am, because I set my schedule, right? And it's in there. But who feels in control? They do. So I use it for every client. Every client. You want to have a chat, you want to have a showing, you want to have a conversation, great. Here's my Calendly link. Pick the time that's best for you.
So we got to break that down, because I know we're going to be finished up soon, but I want everybody to understand what Mike just laid out, because this is important. This is extremely important. Okay. If you guys are looking to increase your value, and I'm talking like today, this is not no working up to this moment. No, do this shit. Do this today. Do this today. Present that, because the perception and the boundaries that you're setting, like purely sending out a person a link to schedule with you, is a leg up from your competition. Plain and simple. Just literally plain and simple. The first time I ever got a Calendly link was when a fellow agent of mine who I knew worked in the same brokerage as me. I wanted to link up with him, and he sends me a link. I mean, I've already looked at the gentleman as a like superior, because he was in the game. He's in the industry for way longer than I have been. And I'm like, yeah. And then when he sent it to me, I'm like, yo, this guy's official. What is this? That's a meeting link. Let me go. And then it opens up his calendar, and I can see his calendar. I felt like this. I was happy to take my time and choose. And just what you're saying, Mike, is like they feel in control. Why? Because they can choose the time that they want to meet with you based on your schedule. And all he did was send me a link. He didn't ask me a million different questions. We didn't get lost in translation of times and dates and messing up. No, he simply said, you want to meet? Here's a link. Choose a time. Literally. As simple as that. And this is something that I know everyone listening and watching and can do today to set themselves apart, to increase your value, right? And the boundaries aspect of this is a bigger issue. Now, setting yourself apart and understanding how to act as a business, that's going to help 100%. But the boundaries aspect is going to help you grow and is going to protect your mental. I keep going back to it. If we let our clients run our lives, you're going to find yourself being worn out and burnt out so fast. And a lot of times you don't even have deals to back it up, to justify it. Right. And I know firsthand that when I first started, I'm driving around all kinds of different places, chasing deals, trying to get things going. Before I know it, I'm 3 gallons. I'm 3 full tanks later, no money in my pocket, but yet I'm still hoping and wishing. Right. Again, boundaries. So, Mike, I just wanted to emphasize some of the things that you touched on, because we're here talking about time management. And what we going over today was writing down your goals the night before, using your Google Calendar or any calendar that you use on your phone as, setting all of your appointments, taking advantage of the non-negotiables, understanding what's important to you. What is your non-negotiable? And I wrote that down. Like, what are your non-negotiables? Because that question is another powerhouse question coming out of this podcast. And also, schedule your social media time. Schedule it. Don't stick to the schedule. And this is going to help you again with the mental. And one last thing is, how you treat your business is how your clients treat you. That what you just said as far as the example is like, I can't wait to do some highlights on this, because we're going to have discussions upon discussions about how people are treating their business and why they are not hitting their goals. And I can guarantee that an element of that is due to the fact of not having boundaries. We think that being open 24/7 is a value add. It's not. It's not. Being open from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. is a value add. Why? Because you're setting the tone. You're letting people know, if you want to do business with me, here are my hours. And for many of us, we have to learn how to respect ourselves, respect our business, but most importantly, let those boundaries be known in the beginning, right? A lot of times we get into a situation where we want to now set boundaries after that person has overstepped or after we realize we have given it up. And then that's hard to do. Now, you were dealing with the business owner with multiple chains. And once you made that declaration, they already knew your value. So they were like, cool, that's fine. But if a person doesn't necessarily know your value and now you want to change up, they may very well go to somebody else and say, oh, you're not available at 9:45, and I don't see any difference from you and Joe Schmo. So I'm going to go call Joe Schmo and see what Joe Schmo got, because he's 24/7, right?
And they could. And I think it's important, though. That's why it's very important to figure out and hold true to those non-negotiables, right? If you are willing to bend every time someone asks, it's not a non-negotiable, right? If you're willing, you have to be okay. I had to be okay that client may walk out the door, because they may not understand that we were good with it. Now I'm not, right? And maybe that didn't work for them. If they came, but I was fully prepared that if they came back and said, hey, we still need to chat every night or this isn't going to work, I was mentally prepared to say, okay, do you need me to refer you to somebody?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the difference. Now, listen, I'm not ignorant to the fact that everyone has different situations. The reality is, whether I sell something tonight, tomorrow, next week, next month, my kids are still going to eat. My house is still going to be paid for. My cars are still fine. Like, I'm fine, right? And not everyone is in that same boat. So I would have different non-negotiables if my kids may not eat tomorrow if I don't go sell something, right? I may have to make some more short-term sacrifices if I'm in a different financial spot, where you may be watching this being like, I have to get a deal or I may lose my house. That's a different conversation. But that's where you need to understand that in this business, there's kind of two types of agents. There's someone doing transactions and there's someone building a business. Both are very important. You do need to do transactions. They are not the same. Trying to search for a transaction or a deal is not the same as building a business, right? So you have to understand the spot that you're in and then reflect that based on your activities, the schedule, the sacrifices you're willing to make, and really it plays out in your non-negotiables. I think that's the last thing I'll just hit on is that's super important for you to understand. And I fully understand that everyone's situation is different. And so you just need to be honest about yours.
And that was well said, because literally, for those of you who are listening and watching this, Mike just gave us our next topic because we're going to dive deep into the differences of a transaction agent and a business building agent. Because again, there are different people in different spots of their career, but we're going to touch on those because some of the people that we work with on a regular basis are a transaction. Like they need to get to that next point. And we understand that. And this is why we're going to talk about how to find transactions, but also jump into the business building aspect. Because for me personally, I feel as though in my career, I'm in the business building phase. I'm not so much in chasing transactions. And just as Mike's speaking about it, we're in a position where we're not chasing and trying to get to that next check. Now, it is nice, it is beautiful, it is amazing, but that also comes from the many years of being in the industry and learning how to fish and respecting the grind and setting boundaries and being in time managers. We're not perfect. We are growing just as well as you guys are growing. It doesn't matter if you just got your license in the last 3 months or in the last 5 years. What we talk about on this podcast is relevant. So I recommend that you go back to some of our earlier podcast episodes, listen in, and if you have any questions, comment at the bottom. Go into the YouTube, go back, comment what you want to hear next, or reach out to either of us. Okay. And for those of you who are agents who are looking to learn of your business plan, we have a business plan now active. All you need to do is go to the newagenthandbook.com. On the front of the newagenthandbook.com homepage, there is a business plan, which is powered by C21 Beggins, which is a phenomenal company that Mike is a part of, that he builds. And in one of the largest, I think the largest C21 office in Florida, and they're growing, constantly growing. So the reason why I'm giving that to you guys is because the reason why we're providing that is you need to have a plan. Okay, you need to have a navigation. When you go to a destination, you don't just drive, you put it into your phone and you follow the navigation. So go on to newagenthandbook.com, plug it in of how much you want to make and follow the navigation. Mike, it is always a pleasure to be on this stage with you. And I cannot wait till we can do this podcast live one day. Yes, this is going to be amazing, man. And we're going to hit and thank you all for everyone who's been showing us love and support over the months. Mike, you want to say anything for the lovely people out there before we get out of here?
Man, just we can't say thank you big enough to those that are watching, those that are following, those that are commenting, the DMs, everything. Like, honestly, it's why we do this, right? We don't charge for this. This isn't something we're sitting here trying to make a bunch of money on a podcast. Like, this is all about just trying to bring you guys value. And so the only thing we kind of get back in return are those emails, are the DMs, are the views that say, hey, man, this was awesome. This really helped. Because that's really all we want, right? We just want to know that this helped you in some way, shape, or form, change your business, change the way you approach your day, anything. That's all we want, right? So keep it up. If we can help in any way, I know we're both here for you at any time. Just reach out. And till next time, my man, it's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. See ya.